guys, and welcome back to Tootie Talks, the podcast where music and conversation come together. I'm your host, Aveline Shinke, and today I'm joined by three friends of mine, Andrew Kales, Maria Benitez Sabino, and Jocelyn Pierce. Together, we make up the 2025-2026 ASTA E-Board for Grand Valley State University, and we're here to talk about all things ASTA, what it is, how our GVSU chapter got started, what we do as an e-board, and some of our favorite memories, events, and experiences as part of this amazing organization for string educators and students. But before we jump into the questions, Jossie, this is your first PAC Talk and the first time being on the show. Could you share a little bit about your background, how you got started with music, what you're going to school for, and what you plan to do after you graduate?
Yeah, so my name's Jocelyn Pierce, but I go by Jossie. You'll probably hear everyone call me Jossie. So I have always been very musical. My mom said that she used to play Mozart when I was in the womb. I don't know how much that worked because I don't like Mozart very much, but it really started for me in 5th grade when I joined orchestra. I started playing violin. And I did that all the way up until my senior year of high school, although I never took private lessons. And my senior year of high school, I knew I wanted to be a teacher. So I always say that I knew I wanted to be a teacher before I knew I wanted to be a music teacher. So when I started at Grand Valley, I was actually an English education major, but I switched to music education about halfway through my freshman year because I just missed being in orchestra so much. And I have been so happy that I made that decision. And yeah, I've just had the best time being a music ed major. Taking private lessons on violin has been something I've never done before. And it was really cool to get to know my instrument in that way. But yeah, that's where I'm at now.
Yeah, and we're happy to have you on the show. So thanks for coming. And to start us off, we always start with an icebreaker question. And today's icebreaker question is, if you could only do down bows or up bows for a performance, which one would you pick?
Down bows.
Period.
I'd say down bows. I feel like if you do up bows for the whole time, that's just like carpal tunnel waiting to happen, right? As opposed to this is much more of a natural motion for me, at least, because so many of the pieces that we have so many down bows written anyway, and you never see up, 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 unless it's like a Wieniawski concerto or something.
You're going to get a workout if you do all up bows for sure.
Yeah.
Not like you wouldn't with down bows, but
yeah. It's more taxing on an up bow, I feel like. Wow.
Mm-hmm. But I wonder if, for those who play a vertical instrument, a string instrument, I feel like an up bow might be easier on cello.
Okay, my thing is I love down bows like anybody else at this table or anybody else out in the world, but cellos are just really loud. And I think with down bows, we risk rushing. Maybe, I don't know if that's just a cello thing, because right, vertical instrument, gravity, we got gravity helping us. Y'all got to do a lot more going like this. This is really unnatural. But I kind of like the idea of up bows, controversial, because I think we can maybe do a lot more with dynamics.
Fair point.
I think for violin or viola, 100% down bows, just because you have gravity helping you. I mean, an up bow is already more work in and of itself going against gravity, but yeah, that's my answer for violin or viola. But for cello or bass, I guess for down bow, how much gravity is involved in a down versus up bow?
Well, with the cello, you don't got to do much with anything because you just sit and you're just moving the bow through space.
Yeah,
and
because it's just
you don't got to put weight or do too much just to make a sound. But I think also walking away from performance doing all up bows, we're gonna be so good at up bow staccato, guys. We're gonna be so good at that.
True.
I think that'd be fun. But does that answer your question, Jossie?
Yeah. So maybe my answer would be different for cello or bass, but yeah.
Okay, so let's jump into some of the topics now, some of the questions. And I want to ask Andrew. Andrew, could you just tell the audience and to those listening, what is ASTA and some of the details regarding ASTA?
Sure. ASTA stands for the American String Teachers Association. So a lot of times in professional settings, there's the organization for the professional people to get professional development and resources and meet other people. So dentists have their organization, psychologists have their organization, and music, it depends on the instrumentation. ASTA, American String Teachers Association, is for the orchestra people. There's also NAFME, which is the National Association for Music Education. That's for the more general music band people. But in ASTA for us, it's a group of string teachers from around the country, and it's a place for us to meet each other. And the big thing that we do is conferences. They host the national conference every year in varying locations, but it's a place for string teachers to gather and get inspired by others, by our peers. And there's lots of different perks to joining. They send you a magazine every 3 months, I think, with articles you can read by other teachers. And there's repertoire lists of stuff that you can program for your orchestras. Lots of good things. And then they have student chapters at most of the colleges. So Grand Valley, where we're at, has our chapter. Michigan State has a chapter. Western Michigan has a chapter, which is a student group. We get discounted rates to all the things that we go to. And it's a place to get better professionally before we actually join the workforce. So our chapter started, I don't know about before COVID. I know there was a chapter. I think it was relatively small. Right before COVID, when they kind of went away for a while, it was about 5 people, I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. And then when Joel Scott, our new orchestra director as of a few years ago, that's 4 years ago at this point, we restarted a chapter with him, and it was Matthew DeRose, who was one of our viola players for a while.
Shout
out Matt DeRose.
Shout out Matt.
He's student teaching right now. He was our first president since we restarted. So he had talked to Dr. Scott originally about restarting the chapter. So he led the charge. He was our first president the first year, and I was his vice president. And all you really need for a student organization is about 4 people to make up the executive board, which is us now, and a chapter advisor, which is Dr. Scott. And we just kind of went around and asked all the music ed majors that are string players, who wants to be in ASTA? We're starting this again. And I think everyone raised their hand and wanted to do it. So all of a sudden we had like 10 members, I think, our first year.
I had mentioned I was English education my first semester, and I was in a child developmental psychology course. And it was one of those days where the teacher was like, turn and talk to the person next to you. So at this point, I hadn't played my violin in 7 months. And I turned and talked to the person next to me, who happened to be Matt. And we do the spiel of, oh, what's your major and everything? And he said he was music education. So I asked, what instrument do you play? And he said viola. And a wave of the most insane jealousy I've ever felt just washed over me. And I could not stop thinking about it all day. I was so jealous that he got to play an orchestra and be playing his instrument, and I just missed it so much. So I immediately went and just emailed all the people I needed to that day, because Matt DeRose, I always say Matt DeRose, if I hadn't turned and talked to him, I don't know if my major would have changed. And I just think it's cool. So shout out to Matt DeRose.
Shout out Matt. It's a beautiful story.
Yeah. Have you not heard it before?
No. It's my first time.
Yeah, I switched my major because of Matt. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, he is our first president. He kind of took the charge the first year of organizing most of the events. He coordinated going to MMC and bringing our first guest speaker, which I think was Sarah Lenhart from Hudsonville. Mm-hmm. Shout out Sarah Lenhart.
Shout out.
Yeah. So he took the lead on organizing all the things. I kind of helped where I could. And then we were off running. We had events usually every month or so, I believe. And then our first year going, we went to the national conference in Louisville, was the first one, the ASTA National Conference. Yeah. And now the E-Board changes every year. We have elections at the end of the school year. And
Mm-hmm. Can we talk about what our roles are as the E-Board members for the GVSU ASTA chapter?
Sure. I am the president, and my responsibilities are mainly, I'm the primary link between what our organization needs and what we need from Dr. Scott, who is our advisor. So anytime he has things he needs us to do, he contacts me, or anything that we need from him, I'm the main contact for that. And I'm the one that runs E-Board meetings, and for planning events, I'm usually the one that delegates to you guys what we need from everyone. And Jossie tells me that my primary job is information gatherer, because I'm usually on top of things, and when everything's happening, I'm usually one of the first people to know about it. So information gatherer could be one of my responsibilities.
That's your new title.
Andrew just knows everything about everyone and every situation. I work at a restaurant and we do live music in the summer, and Andrew literally lives on the other side of the state for the summer, and he came to Grand Haven for we were actually watching we were with Matt DuRose. So just like Matt DuRose just keeps popping up, I guess. But I was talking something about the performing schedule at my work, and Andrew was like, oh no, that guy's performing on Wednesday or something, because Andrew literally knew the performing schedule of the restaurant I work at that he had never been to before. So yeah, that's just information gatherer.
I think I was just so chronically online over the summer, especially that I just see things at the right time. I saw that on Facebook from our jazz professor.
Oh my God.
So I just know things at the right time, I guess.
Yeah, that was funny. I'm the vice president. It's my first year being vice president, so I really just do whatever Andrew needs me to do. I email people. I bring the good vibes to every ASTA meeting. So
factual.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, my name is Maria, and I am the secretary and treasurer of our ASTA chapter. So that means that when we have our e-board meetings, I take notes, and I'm supposed to manage money. We're gonna fundraise. We're gonna do some more things about that. I do what Andrew tells me to do. We're all just gonna help each other. Andrew gathers the facts, and we manage the to-do list together. We make a good team. We get along. Mm-hmm. We have good laughs.
Maria did just find me hotel prices for the Midwest clinic that we're thinking about going to next month.
Yes.
So
yes, that's the money thing I've done.
That's the money thing.
Yeah.
I love doing spreadsheets, and I can write a mean as in good for the viewers at home budget proposal. So
there you go.
Just let me know.
There you go. I am the social media officer for the GVSU ASTA chapter. I do all the Instagram stuff. If we need Google Forms or, posters or anything like that made, that goes through me. So pretty short, pretty simple.
And fun fact, Maria and Aveline used to be swapped. They used to have each other's jobs. And I wouldn't say you guys were bad at the other jobs, but I just think this fit right here is just perfect. I just think it's great.
Well, I primarily had the financial role because I'm also an accounting student. So but we just didn't really have any money to manage.
I also think that your heart, especially with doing this podcast, is really in social media.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that Maria's
girl.
wasn't. Mm-hmm. I just think Aveline has a heart for social media, and Maria, literally while she was social media person, would be talking to us about fundraising and stuff. So I just think it's perfect that you two are in these roles. Yeah. You're able to provide that for us.
Works out pretty good.
Yeah.
So far.
Yes.
Okay. How do we promote ASTA and connect with other ASTA chapters?
Social media, probably.
Yeah. I mean, we just did what do we want to call it? A Michigan ASTA group meeting with all of the colleges at Michigan State University. And that was primarily done through you and reaching out to them via social media. Mm-hmm. And that was great. I mean, we got to get together. We did some sight reading, and kids got to go up and conduct. I mean, how many people do you think went?
We had, I think it was 42 people.
Wow.
I think.
There was a lot of
Something
people.
like that.
And it was 4 schools?
Yeah.
Yes. So we had we'll talk about conferences later, but one of the good things that came out of conferences last year was us getting to talk to other student chapters, which I think this idea started with us in Michigan State's chapter. We were thinking it'd be cool to have some combined event so people can meet each other. And we had this idea of just having a big orchestra play music together. So I think it was over the summer, we started talking on social media through our GVSU ASTA account. And we figured out a time miraculously that worked with everybody. We had us and Western Michigan, Central Michigan, and MSU.
Yeah.
And we hosted at MSU. People got to conduct, and we had pizza, and it was good for people to meet up. That was primarily coordinated through social media.
Yeah. And it was the first time that's ever happened in a long time. So it was great that we were able to do that. It was awesome. But we also do a lot of promoting. Yeah, we do a lot of promoting on our social media too. I mean, we have guest speakers come in. We just had Dr. Robert Johnson from the Grand Rapids Symphony. He's also a luthier, and he just came in and gave us, tidbits on how to take care of your instrument and what you should be looking out for as musicians, And so just people like that get to come in and kind of give us further insight into just life as a musician has really been great. And so we promote that on social media a lot too, just upcoming events and stuff like that. So,
yeah. Kind of drawing on that a little bit, what have we learned from other ASTA chapters? I feel like, what was it that we did a few months ago? The Zoom meeting thing. I can't quite remember what it was, but I think it was Ball State who shared a lot of good tips on stuff they do with their ASTA chapters. An important thing I feel like we learned is to have a set meeting time, before the year even starts, because for us, finding meeting times is a difficult thing right now, finding a way for everybody in our chapter to get together. So getting insight from other student chapters on how they do that. They also had a really interesting e-board lineup. They basically have and I'm sorry, Ball State, if you're watching this and I mess anything up. I'm pretty sure I remember it clearly. They had a former president position, a current president, and then vice president is the future president, and the president trains the vice president to then be the president, and then the president becomes past president but stays in the chapter. So they're all just helping each other out, and there's a progression of sophomore to junior to senior year. So that was really interesting, and I feel like if we can get a solid foundation of people to be in our chapter like Ball State does, that would be something I would consider doing for our e-board. But yeah, that was an interesting thing I took away from Ball State that one time. So
yeah, I think that kind of models the national organizations leadership, because they have a past and current president as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We have a lot of people in our ASTA chapter now. It's growing. So I see a lot of promise in us continuing. It's really exciting to see so many people show up. For Dr. Robert Johnson Friday, there was a lot of people, right? Yeah.
Also the idea of training people, I think we need to be better about that, but training the next group of ASTA people, because I don't know if we mentioned this, but we're all fourth or fifth years here. So we're all going to be either graduating or moving on up. So yeah, we got to get to training some of our members so that they can, run it next year. But yeah.
I think what's really exciting is that because we've been part of ASTA and going at this for so long, we kind of learned our leadership styles, and we have an idea of what we want ASTA to be here. So I think that kind of makes it easier for people to continue on after us.
Something that's cool about us as opposed to some other schools, I know some other schools have this battle between ASTA and NAFME and fighting for membership with each other, where some schools have found it hard to get an ASTA chapter going because everyone else is in the NAFME chapter, which is National Association for Music Education. And here, because we started it and we're okay, string majors, where are you at? Join ASTA. All of our string majors that are music education especially, they're all in ASTA, which is great for us because it means if we're doing something that pertains to teachers, we know the people that need to hear it are going to hear it. It doesn't happen at some other schools, so that's a good thing that we have going, at least.
Yeah. Okay. What kinds of events do we do, and how do we decide what events to do?
I think some of it is based off of what our members want to hear. I think we put a lot of input into asking what they want. And I also think we, amongst the four of us, talk about what we think people want to hear. Like Dr. Robert Johnson, I personally didn't know about a lot about how to take care of my instrument. You know the basics, but it's oh my gosh, what do you do if you have a pop seam, or my strings, what do you do? And so it was great for him to come in and talk about that. It's also we have had Grand Rapids Symphony members come in and talk to us about the performance field. And ASTA is largely geared towards education, but there's also a large portion of performance included in that. And so that was really great to hear, especially for me as the sole violin performance major at Grand Valley. it's great for me to hear their experience in the field and just to have them be brought in and to talk about that. And then the music educators as well. Like we've had conversations with Joel Scott, the director here, and learning about his background and experience in that field and just learning about all of the stuff that he's done. That's been really, really informative, at least for me. And I know many others as well. So I think it's just geared towards asking the question, what do you want to hear and who do you want to hear it from?
I think what's really cool is that our membership, we have like you said, performance, Bachelor of Arts, or like music ed students as well. I think it's that we all kind of have different needs and different wants, but we're all here to make music and to do that and grow in that effort. So I think that's really cool that we get to have that shared community here in that effort. And
it's not even just talks that we do too. I mean, we have lunch with our director sometimes, and then we do conducting symposium, right? And stuff like that. So, yeah.
And then occasionally we'll have faculty kind of ran events like String Leadership Day. I know we mentioned that. Let's just talk about String Leadership Day for a second, actually. So String Leadership Day, we've been doing it for 3 years, I think. Joel Scott, who you're going to hear his name a lot, he's our director. And basically, String Leadership Day is kind of picking a few students from local orchestra programs, primarily West Michigan. We did an East Michigan one once, but primarily around here. And these are students who have shown an interest in leadership in their high school orchestras. They range from, probably like sophomore year to senior year of high school. But yeah, these are students who just show that commitment to orchestra in their high school programs. So we kind of get them all together and we bring them to Grand Valley State University for a String Leadership Day is what we call it, where we basically workshop with them on how to be leaders within their, not just their section, but the orchestra as a whole. But there's a focus on section leadership. And yeah, Dr. Scott is just, he's so good at just, I don't even know how to explain it. He just finds a way to explain things and workshop things. And it's just so fun. Like we do an activity on String Leadership Day where you like get in groups of, one or four or two or four or whatever. And Dr. Scott has them like all try to jump and land at the same time. So it's the idea of like getting everyone to play at the same time, but we're having these students come and do these various activities with other students who are also committed to their orchestras. And it's just a really great experience for them. They get to hear faculty recital from our string faculty here. So they get to hear some of that like professional level string playing. They do sectionals. We work with them on how to lead a sectional, what to work on. And then they, of course, like have rep that they work on throughout the day. And they do an informant at the end for the parents where they basically just play the music and they show like what they learned throughout the day. Yeah, there's a lot of really fun stuff. I don't know if we want to go into like everything that happens on String Leadership Day.
Something that I think is really cool about String Leadership Day, typically I'm the person that's opening the doors and greeting people in the morning. And there's some kids that are like a little bit more nervous than others. They're like, oh, my mom signed me up for this. Oh, I don't know what this is. But I think something that's really cool is we kind of get to see their growth and their confidence walking away. They seem more comfortable in their leadership and just playing and being around college students, college professors. So I think that's really cool to see. And kind of like us, they have the same goals and aspirations. We want to make music. We're really passionate about that. I think it's really cool that we get to kind of help the upcoming generation of music makers in that effort.
I like how you mentioned like their confidence, because I remember it was my second year of college when I first did String Leadership Day. And we as ASTA members, we play a role in String Leadership Day. Like Maria mentioned, she held the door one year. I was also a door holder last year. This year, I was pencil sharpener. Like we just kind of helped throughout the day with the different jobs that they need us with. But yeah, just seeing these students like walk away with so much more confidence. I also learned a lot my first year helping with String Leadership Day. The idea of moving your scroll up and down and not just like your whole body, but like being able to like manipulate your scroll was something I had never thought of before. And now it's what I do when I'm section leader. But that was just a takeaway that I took from my first string leadership day. And I think it's cool that these high schoolers have the opportunity to just like learn all of these things that they, not to like hate on anyone's like school orchestra programs, but when you have a class of 40 kids who not all of them are super committed to orchestra, a lot of school teachers don't have time to just focus on those like few really committed kids when you're worried about so much classroom management. So them coming to Grand Valley to have the opportunity to work on more advanced stuff is really good for them, I think.
Yeah, 100%. I want to turn ourselves towards some of our favorite aspects of being in ASTA. Do you have a particular highlight that stands out? What are some of your favorite ASTA events that you've gone to or experienced? Tell me a little bit about that.
I really love the community. And I love that everywhere we go, whether it's in Kentucky or Atlanta, Chicago, Michigan, whatever, wherever we go, we say, yeah, we're from Michigan. We're from Grand Valley. Oh, so you're with Joel, right? Dr. Joel Scott is famous in the string education world, in my most humble opinion. And it's just kind of funny to just growing our network, going to these places, and people like remember you. And I really love the string community we have here in Michigan. It's one of my favorite parts of ASTA.
Yeah, it's super tight knit, and string teachers are like the most nerdy and fun people to be around. There's so many times where we're at conferences and you just get to talk to other people who are doing the jobs that we want to do, and they're just all the most down to earth and willing to help us people. I didn't think they were going to be so willing to accept college students to be a part of their organization and treat us like as their equals and not as lesser than. So the community is the best part, I think. Everyone's so nice, and it's really rare that you hear no if you ask for help from any of these teachers.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting you mentioned people taking you in as a college student, because once I started going to these conferences and being with my past orchestra teachers at these events, and like even going to like parties with them, like at the top of the Amway, which is a big hotel in Grand Rapids, I wasn't expecting them to just like see me as one of them after like having me as a student. So I thought that was really cool that they're kind of able to do that, like you said. So
Yeah.
Being on first name basis makes me feel special.
Yes.
Thank you. Shout out master teachers. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's the community, right? I mean, you go to these conferences and you meet a ton of people. But I also think ASTA is really important for their resources and everything they give you and through their membership and just through their website in general. You know, there's a lot of articles you can read, and there's a lot of music ed stuff you can look at to help teachers, you know, that are coming into the music ed workforce. Like, how do you do that? You know, just kind of some guideline stuff with that. So, yeah. But at the end of the day, the community is also the main part. So
it's nice to have a discount on instrument insurance through ASTA. I do my instrument insurance through the company they're partnered with. So that's nice.
Yeah, and kind of along with that, going to all these conferences and all the things they provide, it kind of just fills the gaps in what we're learning in our classes. We do learn a lot, but it's impossible to learn everything in our classes. So the stuff that we all have questions about from our classes here is what we can ask there and learn about at all these sessions and in these research articles that they provide us. So it just, I don't know about you guys, but I feel a lot more prepared to teach after going to all these ASTA things, just because of how much real world stuff they tell us from people who have actually been doing the jobs for 20, 30 years.
yeah.
I think it's also like, we talk about this a lot in academia, like imposter syndrome. And I think sometimes I'm wondering, am I in the right place? Am I doing the right thing? Like, am I meant to become a teacher? And I think having these opportunities to go work with local like youth orchestras or go like talk to these teachers and be at these conferences, present or ask questions, I think it really reaffirms to me that I'm in the right place, that I'm doing what I need to do. And that's been one of the best experiences for me, going to the conferences, kind of like pivoting around that. We've kind of talked about our experiences at these conferences. Have there been like certain sessions or experiences at them that we want to talk about that have been really pivotal?
I feel like the MMC jam sessions. Those are always great. MMC is the Michigan Music Conference, and it happens every year in Grand Rapids, which is great for us because it's right down the road and we can just, you know, skip our classes and go down there. But usually they let us out. But
Yeah.
I think the jam session is really great because we were talking with Jim on the first season of the podcast, and he's like, yeah, people need to come to this jam session. Like, this is how you meet people, is you show up to this stuff. And half the time students don't, because, you know, they're tired and they want to go home or whatever. But even if you stay for like 15 minutes, you know, talk to somebody and meet somebody new in the community. I mean, those are the people you're going to be student teaching with. Those are the people that you're going to be replacing eventually, you know. I think just going to these programs and just meeting the people, those have been my favorite experiences. And the jam session's just fun. I mean, you just pull out fiddle sheet music and you sight read it with a bunch of string educators and string students from Michigan. And sometimes they have ice cream there, and you just hang out and you chill out and you play music for the next hour at 9:00 at night, you know? So that's been one of my most fun moments with ASTA, I think.
I get scared at the jam sessions. It was really fast. I'm not a fiddler. I don't do the folk music. Shout out Kenny Walker, because at that jam session, he was flying and I was jelly. But it was really fun because I was sitting next to Yu Chen and then Nolan, some of the MSU cellists there. And that's how I was able to meet them. So even though I was scared, I had some people next to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can never sight read it that fast. I just be playing random notes.
That was a really big kind of shock to me to see like how involved in fiddling people are, especially around here. Like in the college world, we're just it's all classical music. It's Bach and Mozart and Brahms and everything. And you go to these like jam sessions and you talk to all these, oh my goodness, they can just shred on the violin or whatever instrument they play. It's crazy, especially in Atlanta.
It's kind of refreshing because, you know, we focus so much on the Western classical tradition here, but a lot of music outside of that is oral and oral. So it's kind of nice. And it kind of reminds me, maybe I should brush up a little bit on some of those skills to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. How has the chapter helped each of us personally, and how does it supplement our degree program? I know Andrew started tapping into this a little bit, but what specifically have you guys kind of learned that you may not have learned in your degree program?
I feel like the connections are the biggest thing for me, just knowing who I'm going to be working with. A lot of people, this is a bold assumption. I don't really know what other people deal with because I'm a musician, but people in other fields, you could be working anywhere and it's a lot bigger of a world because there's so many more people doing the job that you want to do. But music, especially in orchestra, is a really tight-knit community. So just knowing everyone helps to get a foot in the door wherever you're going to be. Because I feel like with the connections that I've had, I feel like there's people that know me. And if someone asks, like when I'm going for my job in the future, like at least they know my name and they know where I've been and what I do. And it's a great connection to have. And just getting to learn from so many people has really been inspiring for me. And seeing the raw passion that everyone has for what they do is really inspiring. Because here we get caught up in the day-to-day grind of all the classes and rehearsals and all this. And it's just so great to learn from people who are doing the thing that we want to do. And they love what they do. And it makes me so excited to actually teach in the future once I get away from all my classes.
Once I get away, once I escape. But I really like that phrase you said, raw passion. I think you're right. Sometimes we get away from that. Sometimes I get emotional during rehearsal or performances because I'm like, oh, we get to make music. This is so amazing. Wow. And it is a privilege, and it's something really special we get to do together. It's nice to have those reminders from people that are ahead of us in their careers.
Yeah, I really think it is all about the connections. Because, like I was saying with the jam session, that's who you're going to be taking over from. And it's not even just the teachers. It's also the students from other colleges, too. It's been, you're making connections with them. And from being in the student organization, if you weren't, you wouldn't be able to go to that huge gathering we had, and to meet all of those new people. So, yeah, I would agree with Andrew. I think it really is the connections that you make and the friends that you make now in college and across these other universities. Those are your colleagues. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of weird to think about that, but everything you do and how you handle that relationship, that goes into your life. You're going to be dealing with them for the next however many years, Mm-hmm. So just keep that in the back of your head. But but that's why it's important to connect with them now, and to outreach to other schools and, be involved with those other chapters as well.
Something I wanted to add to how ASTA has helped us in supplementing our degree. Andrew kind of alluded to this earlier, that ASTA sends out journals each year or each month or so for their members. So ASTA has a practitioner journal and a research journal. And something that I've been able to participate in this past year, 2 years, is undergraduate research. And I've done some of my research related to string education. And something that's been really cool is being able to present my research at like ASTA and MMC, and being able to have those journals as a resource to reference in my research, but also just kind of see what else other researchers are doing in the field has been really amazing. And
a big part of those experiences we were talking about are conferences. So we have the Michigan Music Conference, that's our local one, and then ASTA as a whole, they have a big conference in a different location every year. Louisville was 2 years ago. I didn't go to that one, but I did just go to Atlanta. So yeah, specific takeaways from conferences. For me personally, there is so much information just going into my head at every conference that it's kind of impossible to remember each and every little thing you hear. I really like some of the headliners that I've seen at MMC. I'm trying to remember what her name was, the last headliner, but
Sarah Ball.
Yeah, Sarah Ball. She gave a really good PowerPoint for one of her sessions, and it was just like a bunch of different key points, just like back to back. And a few of them will pop into my head like when I'm teaching in the moment, and I'll be like, oh yeah, like someone said this to me once at a session, and I couldn't just like pull from it right now, but they do come back to me when I'm teaching in the moment. And then Atlanta was just, oh my gosh, Atlanta was such a blur, but also such a great time. Being surrounded by that many string teachers was just crazy. I was like, oh my gosh, this many people do this. Like, that was just my biggest thought when I went to the national conference. I went to a really good tone session. I think you were also in that session with me. The one about tone. I think about it frequently, like having the orchestra tune, or what did he say? It was, he talked about when you're tuning your orchestra just like on an A, their tone is really important, because the way you use your bow when you just play on your A string, it'll completely change the sound. So matching everybody's bows together when they're tuning, it may not seem like that big of a deal. Like, a lot of people don't take tuning that seriously from what I've seen in like school orchestras, and even in our own orchestra. Like, sometimes when I'm looking around and seeing how we're all tuning our A's, some people are like rah, 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 and some people are just like at the tip. So matching bows when you're tuning an orchestra was a really big takeaway that I think about a lot. Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys have any takeaways from any of your sessions?
I have never gone to the national conference, so I can't really speak to that. But for MMC, I've gone every year for the past 3 years now, I think, 3-4 years. And most of the time it's centered around music education, but that's still applicable to performance majors. You pick up stuff that music educators will be using in the K through 12 field to teach privately. And sometimes there are performance things where, our past violin professor, she did a talk about practice techniques and just violin techniques in general. And that was really insightful for me. I think I took 5 pages of notes on that. Like, it was very helpful. And I use a lot of them, not just because I was her student, but also because I heard it during that conference or that talk. And it was very insightful for me. And it's not even just that, but Jean Lee from MSU, she also had a talk, and she talked about growing your brand and how do you market your orchestra and, all that stuff regarding social media, and really insightful for me. And I think I drew some of that into my own branding, and, how do you get students from branding, and how do you do all this stuff? And the other thing that's nice about the conferences is that you can choose to what you go to. There's so many happening at once, and it's a plus and a negative, because it's like you want to go to everything, but you can't, but you have to choose. But, you can kind of plan out your day and what you want to go see and stuff. So it's just nice to go to sessions back to back to back and just learn stuff throughout the entire day about things you didn't even think about and stuff like that. So
one of my big takeaways is there's this recurring theme in some of the sessions that I've been to. Every year there's stuff about recruiting and retention and advocacy, which both of those things I didn't really think about before I went to these sessions, where music as a whole is usually money is the all-powerful thing in our society. And if schools are on a tight budget and they're looking for something to cut, music is a really easy thing to cut. And because of that, we always, as future teachers, have to be the advocates for our programs to our administrators. And I didn't really think of that, but it's very true. If you don't have an administration that's willing to support your school orchestra, like there's not really much you can do. There's no hope. And your job's in jeopardy. So that's a big thing. And then the other one is recruiting and retention. If you don't have the kids in your program to make it happen, there is no program. So a really important part of your job is taking your orchestra out of the middle schools and encouraging them to stay in orchestra and promoting your group to the rest of the school population. It's so important to have the kids there. And all these people that have come in for conferences have so many good strategies that they've done that we've picked up and have notes on and all that from conferences. So those are two really big things that I didn't think about before.
I heard you say the word hope. I think that's been one of my biggest takeaways from the conferences. I talked about a little bit earlier how being in these spaces with other music educators, doing these ASTA events has really reassured me that I'm in the right place. Like I'm doing what I need to be doing. When I was doing research earlier, I did research on a pedagogical approach in education. And during my whole research experience, I felt like I was doing everything wrong. Like I felt like I was doing it wrong. I'm not doing it on time. I'm not doing things I need to. And being a woman of color and a cellist, I would be one of the only women of color in these sessions presenting. And even in high school, when I went to like festival, I didn't see a lot of like orchestra directors that are women, but also women of color. So sometimes I can feel like the outlier in these spaces. But at the Michigan Music Conference, one of the headliners was Dr. Cody Raven Morris, and she was presenting about culturally responsive teaching. And I went to her session and I came up to her afterward. I had like my big cardboard research poster that Aveline helped me like assemble the night before, a lot of taping, a lot of arts and craft and research. And I came up to her and I was just saying how it was really important for me to see somebody like her doing the work that I'm trying to aspire for, sobbing tears, just started crying. And it was good, happy tears. It was almost a relief. You know, I think going to these spaces, I feel a lot of hope for the education space that we're going to be entering, hope for what I can be and offer as a teacher, and just reassurance that, again, I'm in the right space. This is what I'm meant to be doing. And I feel more confident that as the years go by and the more times we interact with the ASTA community. How do we feel about entering the classroom soon? We have next year to student teach, and we're teachers. We're certified.
You guys can answer this.
We got to take the MTTC.
It's scary, but I'm excited. I don't know if it is like this for other schools in Michigan, but Grand Valley makes you do a semester of elementary music education. So that's what I've been thinking about a lot lately, being in my elementary methods class. And I'm just excited to like get to work with some elementary kiddos because I've grown so used to the idea of working with middle or high school or string players, but I've never considered like how important the foundational elementary music education is. So going to those classrooms this semester has been very eye-opening for me, and just thinking about like how could I prepare this little 8-year-old third grade girl, what activity could I do with her to make her a great string player one day, and just like helping these little kids build those like foundational music skills. I'm really excited to work in an elementary classroom, and of course in an orchestra classroom as well, but we all know that. So
something about you, Jossie, is that you're very playful and you have a lot of energy. So I think that would do really good in an elementary classroom.
I just went to, I think it was Bowerwood Elementary in Jenison, and I played Golden from K-Pop Demon Hunters for a class of first graders, and they loved it. It was so hard for them not to sing along while I was playing, and she has very good classroom management. Shout out Mrs. Schrems over
Shout out.
Yeah. But they were so ecstatic. And then I played Bach for them afterwards, and it was just really cute. But yeah, she's been having me do a lot of stuff with them versus just going in to observe, because for our elementary methods class, we have to go and visit the same elementary classroom 3 times. So you really just do whatever the teacher wants you to do. Diane has me join in and play with them, whether we're crawling around on the floor pretending to be skeletons or banging a drum while listening to an indigenous song. But yeah, that's been a really fun experience because I'm just used to working with like middle and high schoolers, and I never considered working with first graders before, so that was fun.
Mm-hmm. Are you talking about the classroom management piece? I think that's something that kind of makes me a little bit nervous. I think it's the reality right now is that there's high teacher turnover, teacher burnout, and there is a teacher shortage. There's a lot. There might be a lot of jobs for us to apply to, but I think that these kids that we're going to be teaching are growing up in a generation where they've always had technology, and I think that's something that is separate from the teachers that are maybe teaching now, but also kind of in our education systems and how we like format it. And I think we're entering a period where there might be a need for change or reform in education systems, and also just what we're providing for our babies out there. You know, there's mental health crises at districts, you know, there's greater need for staff, but there isn't just enough people. So I think that makes me a little bit nervous about what the education space looks like now, because it wasn't like this when we were in school. And I think it's going to be something to learn and adjust to, and just trying to serve our students.
It is a big difference. The attention spans are so much shorter than they were for us because people have grown up with technology and social media and all the instant dopamine hits from scrolling through your feed all day. And it is hard, but I think that that's also a great thing about music, is that baked into it is that it's different than other subjects. And it can be naturally easier to keep people's attention span because they're doing something with their hands and their brain and visually. So they're engaging their whole brain with what they're doing. And it's such a great switch up for them from like a math or English class. Not to diss on math or English. They're amazing subjects and very important. But music has its role as being that thing that they can come in and like really throw themselves into and be totally engaged, which I think could be a great thing to help with the changing climate of education right now.
Yeah. I think earlier, I remember you mentioning raw passion. I think something we kind of talk about in our classes too is music being an aesthetic experience, something that's moves something emotionally. It is something that is impactful in that way. And I think that's kind of what I heard you talking about a little bit now is it's not math where it can seem irrelevant or detached from us. Like music is within us. And I think something we get to help inspire students is how to explain that, how to express that. I think that's something I'm really excited about, and I think really passionate about, is serving this new generation of students that are maybe different from us in a lot of ways, but I have a lot of hope for learning how to better serve them.
I feel like I'm kind of the opposite of Jossie, where she was talking about how she's so excited to get in elementary classrooms, and I know I'm one of the people that am really not excited to get in an elementary classroom. It's so important, and it's scary, you know? Like orchestra is my thing, and I feel like I'm going to be pretty good at orchestra, but getting myself to get ready to jump into a situation where I'm not too familiar. And I'm one of the people that really doesn't like singing on my own, which is getting easier and developing voice classes and all this thing. But I'm sure it'll be a good experience and it'll be pretty eye-opening. And the basis of what we do in middle and high school is elementary programs. So it is going to be good to see.
And I know we've talked about it a little bit, but could you guys see yourself teaching anything other than orchestra?
Yes. So as a little bit of background, I did band in high school as well. In my sophomore year, I joined our jazz band doing cello. I did a bit of jazz cello for a year, and then I learned trombone. I did some jazz band and marching band. I think I'm very comfortable with the band world. I've not done jazz band since. Andrew's definitely more knowledgeable about jazz.
Barely. I'm just the drummer.
I mean, you're still important. You change out your sticks. You do special things back there. But I think I could see myself doing band. I think I could see myself doing elementary. I think I have a lot of patience, and I think I have a lot of patience with kids. And I think I've seen that a little bit with observing elementary classrooms and my other experiences working with little kids teaching not in classroom settings.
I think I've always said my dream job would be I frequently say I would love to teach middle school, and I think I would stick with that. I think I would love a job where I teach like 2 or 3 sections of orchestra and then maybe 1 or 2 sections of choir, because I love singing, and I think it would be fun to like do a mixture of a bunch of stuff. Like, and then if the band director needs me to sub in for a day, like, yeah, throw me on, I'll pull out a trumpet. Like, I just love music, and I love teaching music no matter the instrument. I know Andrew's very much like, I like violin and that's my thing. That's my jam. But I'm like, I just love, like, as much as I struggle to learn all of these instruments in my technique classes, I don't know, I just think like getting an instrument in a kid's hand and just like teaching them what a forte is or something, I just find that so fun, and it literally just like gives me life. So I would do it in any scenario. I think my dream job though would be like middle school or high school. I would love middle or high school, and a combination of like a bunch of different subjects. What about you guys?
I'm kind of there with you, Andrew. We're like, I've never done choir or anything, so I think it'd be really uncomfortable doing a choir ensemble. But right now we're in our teaching the developing voice class. We're going to be in a choral methods class next semester. Dr. Chuck Norris over here at Grand Valley, legend educator, especially in the NAFME world, researcher as well. Shout out to him. He's going to do us good. He's going to prepare us. So I think I'm getting a bit more comfortable with singing and at least teaching that aspect.
Yeah. What would your dream job be, Andrew?
Mine, I think I'm still sticking with my dream job would be high school, but I think having middle school and high school at the same time would be fun.
Yeah.
I think in high school, I was lucky enough to have a music technology class where it was all about making music with computers on Logic Pro and all that kind of thing. And I also took IB music, which was like world music, thinking about music from like a big overview perspective on how it works in different parts of the world. So I think teaching a class like something like IB music or AP music, I guess music theory, I don't know. So I'm not a big fan of music theory, but I think teaching a class to something like that would be fun, or something like how music works with history or how it works around the world.
A theme I'm kind of hearing as we're talking is the being uncomfortable with things we're unfamiliar with, but also how it makes us better musicians. And these new unfamiliar experiences that we've had, we can also take to our classroom. So you were talking about your technology class, and we're kind of talking about how choir we never had much experience with, but we're getting more comfortable at it. So I think that's cool.
I was going to say, do you guys see yourselves as a musician who teaches or a teacher that is a musician?
That's a great question.
What came first, the chicken or the egg?
I said mine earlier. I said earlier what I am. It's very, I mean, if you can't tell already, I love teaching. I have such a heart for teaching, and my heart's also in music, and I think it's so cool I get to teach music. But yeah, I'm a teacher at heart. I've always been.
I want to say the same. I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I'm a little bit of both, because I think the person who brought this up is probably Dan Scott, who you're referring to, probably, who teaches our string techniques class. He's the director at Janison. I think one of the things that he says is that the most important thing about being a music teacher is that you're a musician first, and that you have to have a really good musical brain and like know what's up with music. So I don't know. I feel like I've really been trying to develop my musical side in order to be a better teacher, but I also originally had experience with teachers. I used to train for American Ninja Warrior, like the TV show, and I had experience coaching kids with that. So I think I've always liked teaching people, but I don't really know. It's hard. I feel like I'm a bit of both.
I'm definitely more musician than I am teacher. But I mean, I teach, so it's like I enjoy teaching, but I feel like I'm more. That's why I'm a performance major. I like the performance more than I like the teaching, but I still enjoy teaching.
Yeah, so. I feel like that kind of connects to asking ourselves, like, what is our why for what we do? Like, what is our why for teaching? What is our why for performing and aspiring for that?
My why is just because I love it. I love teaching, and I love teaching music. I mean, I was an English education major. I couldn't imagine myself teaching an English class. Like, I don't think I would love teaching as much if it was any other subject. But Dr. Norris, who we mentioned earlier, he is very passionate about the idea that we have to teach music for music in and of itself. It's not because it'll improve a kid's SAT score or whatever. you teach music because it's music and we need music in the schools. So my mindset has really changed a lot because of Dr. Norris. I really want to be a music teacher because of the experience I had in the orchestra classroom and how much joy that brought me in high school. And now being on the other end of it, being on the podium and teaching it, I want to provide that experience for other kids, not so it'll improve their SAT scores.
A story comes to mind for my why. In high school, our orchestra would perform at commencement, and one of the pieces we were playing was, I think it's Richard Meyer's Millennium, which is actually the piece that the local youth orchestra we're working with is playing. And I remember that, okay, like our orchestra room has windows, bless up, because we did have windows in our orchestra room.
Lucky
and
you.
I know. It was so bright. I think it was like spring, and it was full symphony, and my orchestra director was conducting, and there was a moment he just kind of stopped conducting. We all kept playing. He's just like taking in the music and taking in this in. I feel like I remember that being the first time I ever had like the little twinge in my heart, the little moment that something's moving me emotionally. And I think also an experience like that happened here at Grand Valley with Dr. Scott. We were playing a piece. It was, what was it? Carlos Simon's Portrait of a Queen. Mm-hmm. And the subject matter of that piece is really difficult. It's about racism in the United States. And we had Professor Thomas here at Grand Valley, who's one of the theater professors, be the narrator and perform that with us. And she did a beautiful job. And I remember we were playing, and I cried on stage during that piece. But I remember that we were playing, and Dr. Scott stopped, and he said, "This is really important music, what we're doing here." I think he was tearing up a bit too. And I was tearing up too at that point. And I think that's kind of the why. It's whatever it is that brings out this raw passion in us with music, or captivates students with outside of their phones and their iPads. And the reason why we're here talking about this, something about that moves people. And that might be an existential question where like we may never get the answer to why. And I think that is the way I can serve future change makers and serve my students. I think that's why I have a lot of hope for the spaces we're going to be walking in and the work we're doing here together. Yeah.
I'm with you on that. One of the things that was instilled in me, and I think in high school, was that I strive for the goosebump moments in music, where when you're listening or when you're playing, just that moment where everything hits so right that like it's just like your body kind of like has this reaction. It's like you get goosebumps everywhere. And usually almost every concert I play, I think there's at least a couple of those, which makes me really happy. And in high school, I remember every concert there was just some point where I knew we had worked so hard and that was so fun to play the great music we did that it just, you get a goosebump moment. And that's probably a big part of my why, is just to inspire kids to have that. And orchestra was my big thing in high school that kind of got me into school every day. Was when other things weren't going right in school, orchestra was there. And it was the thing that I could always go in and enjoy. And I want to create that space for people where they're free to make mistakes and they're free to experiment with themselves and just feel music. And yeah.
It's beautiful.
I think mine is, I want to make great music, and I want to make great music with other people, and together we make something amazing. I think that is my why, is just that feeling, kind of like the goosebump moment, that this performance is going to be great and it's going to affect so many people and they're going to take something away from it. I think that is my why. And my why for teaching is, you know, we're not going to be here forever, and we need to inspire the next generation of musicians. And I want to make those students the best that they can be, the best musicians that they can be, and help prepare them for the workforce. And if they are going to be musicians going into that, how can I prepare them for that?
I feel really inspired by everyone in this room, but just putting that out there. I think what's also cool is that I feel really inspired by my peers, honestly. Like I see some things they do and I'm like, oh, like I can take that with me. And I think that's kind of cool. We're getting that practice and experience now, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's really special what we get to do. Like no matter what, it's like putting it all on the field. I used to play soccer, and it's like whatever happens, it's all out on the field. And I think it's kind of the same thing. You know, we go on stage, no matter what happened in our lives, no matter what happened on the performance date, maybe someone dropped their bow and caught it. Shout out Jake. And, you know, it's amazing what we get to do here. And it's a privilege. I love it. So we kind of been talking about hope, inspiration, all these things. Who have been pivotal figures in our music education?
2 people.
2.
Dr. Letitia Japp.
We all know the obvious ones.
Shout out.
And Dr. Joel
Yeah.
Scott.
Shout out.
Need I say the obvious? But they've been really pivotal figures in my life just because, one, with Dr. Scott, he was really the first person that made me feel seen here at Grand Valley. I remember when I was in orchestra and we had just finished our first orchestra concert. And I've talked about this before on the podcast, but he came up to me and he had moved me up. And I was like, why'd you move me up into 3rd chair? And he's like, because I see you and I see every single person in this orchestra. People think that I don't notice them, but I notice every single person in this orchestra. And I notice that you work hard on this. And I notice that you do well. And so I move you up. Like if you put in the work, if you do it, you know, you can get moved up. So, and he also does rotational seating. So it's, you know, it changes cycle by cycle, but it's just the fact that I had asked him that one day and that's the answer that he gave me. And he's just a really great figure just in general. I mean, he has so many connections and he has such great advice and really just been a great director to work with and be an orchestra member in his ensemble. So there's him. And then there's Dr. Letitia Japp. She's one of my faves. She was the violin professor here before she moved down to Alabama this past year. And I feel like I've just learned so much from her. I mean, before coming to college, you know, I didn't really have that professional level teacher experience. And coming here, I feel like she just really just drilled home all the technique basics and gave me a platform to grow off of. And I really, really, really appreciate that from her because I've just taken a lot of the things that she said to heart and have really tried to implement as much as I can from her into my playing, both as a soloist and orchestral musician and just a student in general, and a teacher. So both have been really, really impactful in my growth as a musician. So
Yeah, something I think about a lot that I actually talked about with Dr. Japp is my toolkit as both a musician and a teacher. And the idea of making my own toolkit and taking from other people's toolkits. Dr. Japp was just one of those people. Her toolkit is insane. Like the amount of just little like slivers of knowledge that she has. And, oh, I'm struggling with this with one of my students. How can I help? Oh, do this with him. Immediately fix. Just her toolkit. It's just insane. And when you were talking about building a platform off of that, that just made me think of how she gave me such a good toolkit. And same with Dr. Scott. He also has a great toolkit. I like his idea of like, go to there. That's one of his tools, I would say. And now I'm able to use that with my student. Like, oh, go to there. And you can probably, I don't know, did he elaborate on that on his podcast episode? The idea of go to there?
we didn't talk about go to there.
I don't think that
I
ever
don't
got
even
mentioned.
think it got
Really?
mentioned. Yeah.
So go to there. I didn't he write his like dissertation on this?
I think
Do you want to explain it for the
it
viewers
got
at home?
mentioned.
Yeah, I think I go to there is Joel Scott's saying that he frequently uses in rehearsal. And it's the idea of every note leading somewhere and having a direction when you're playing music, I guess, because music is always going somewhere and every note is going in a certain direction. So when each note kind of just sounds like the same or is kind of bland, like giving it direction, I go to there. So and kind of having a landing note. But that's one of his tools that I take with me everywhere. Dan Scott Jennison, we mentioned his name a couple times. He has a great toolkit too, especially when teaching beginner string players. And in his string methods class that he teaches here, he really emphasizes a lot on teaching a class of beginners, music in general, just like how to get a class of 5th or 6th graders to like even sit and like he pulled out little baby frogs. That's one thing he uses to teach them bow holds. Dr. Norris is someone I never had class with him until this semester. He's got a lot of great tools. That man has a lot of thoughts and I love his brain. I absolutely love his brain and I could listen to him talk all day, but he has like just so many ideas and tips and tricks to use, especially when teaching singing. But yeah, those are like my big 4 or 5. I don't know, however many I said.
I'm going to hop on the trend. I'm going to say Dr. Scott too. Shout out Dr. Scott. All the professors you mentioned and teachers, they're all passionate about what they do. And Dr. Scott is very passionate about what he does. And something he talks about in orchestra is that he has the same expectation for all of us. We come, we know our music, and we learn other people's parts. And I've had some challenges in my life that may have made school and my relationship with the cello a bit hard sometimes. And something I appreciate about Dr. Scott is that he still has that same expectation for me. And I felt very included by Dr. Scott in orchestra, where he'll still push me and like offer these opportunities to be part of these chamber groups or what have you in orchestra. And I think that's been pivotal in developing my confidence as a cellist and also just reassuring I'm in the right place. Also, shout out to my middle school and high school orchestra teachers. They came to the cello studio recital last summer, and I was sobbing at the end of that. I think a theme that comes up is that I cry a lot, and I was just really proud. And it was really cool to have my beginning teachers be there for something I was really proud to have perform. So shout out to them.
Along with the middle and high school teacher thing, I would argue that the most important people for me have been, especially my high school teacher, Scott Wolf from Bloomfield Hills. He's now retired, living his best life in Ireland, golfing and doing what he does. But I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the experience I had in high school with him and learning how to care and how to put everything into music and how to work as a team, how to move and all that stuff. Orchestra was such a great experience for me in high school. And without him trusting me and believing in me to like do music, I wouldn't be here doing music in college for sure, I don't think. I was always had like really bad performance anxiety, especially in high school. I wouldn't like practice with anyone in the room. I wouldn't play for anybody. So I was originally not going to even audition for the top orchestra in high school, and I didn't. And I was going to be in the middle group, but he trusted me enough and knew me to put me in the symphony orchestra without auditioning, which I'm very lucky he did, because that's symphony orchestras where I really learned to be a great musician in my high school. And if he hadn't believed in me and like known me enough to trust me to put me there, I don't think I would have continued with music. So that's where I really learned my love for music, was in high school. And then obviously Dr. Scott here, he's one of those people, like my high school teacher, you walk in, he always has the most energy in the room, and it's almost infectious, like the amount of passion he brings to rehearsal. He's always jumping around and on the podium and doing crazy stuff. And it's the people that really teach you and inspire you how to put feelings into your music, which Dr. Scott is great at, and Scott Wolf in high school was great at. Because that's one of the most important things, is putting emotion into it. And if you just play the notes and rhythms, that's great. But you've got to have some feeling behind it in order for it to matter. So those are my big 2.
Everyone can see that I have a trench coat on right now, and it's very comfortable. But it snowed. It snowed last night. So I'm kind of wondering, like, what do we all do to kind of keep our string instruments alive and well during Michigan winters?
Humidify.
Yeah.
Like Aveline said, we just had Robert Johnson in a couple days ago to talk about instrument repair, maintenance, care, all that. One of the big things he said was humidity is just one of the most important things. And temperature isn't as much of a concern as humidity. So I have a little humidity pouch in my case that I always keep in there.
Yeah, I have the silicone Oasis
I have that too.
thing. It has little crystals in it that help humidify. So yeah, humidity, and I would just say keep your instrument in a room temp room. Like, try not to put it in your basement or something, you know? Like, I don't know. Just, take care of it. It's your baby.
Yeah,
So
I've been bringing my violin home a lot more lately. I feel like last year was my practice room year, because I commute to college. So my first year as a music ed major, I never really practiced in the practice room, and I only practiced at home. And it wasn't very productive practice, I will say. It was in increments of probably 15 minutes. But last year, I really started practicing the practice room. I got a locker here at school. So I definitely got a lot more done practicing in the practice room. And now I think I do like an hour in the practice room each day and an hour at home. I'd say it's about half and half. But I do like the coziness of my bedroom. I don't know. Could you guys practice at home?
No.
I actually tried this yesterday. I was because I live on campus, and I tried putting a practice mute on. It was like kind of still loud. So I went, what if I put some socks on the bridge or a little bit, like nothing tight. I'm not putting it on, just kind of laying it there. I kind of gave up. I was like, oh, this is still kind of loud. So no.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like when my violin's with me, I know like what's going on with it versus I have this like weird fear that the like string locker was gonna burn down or something.
Dude, I've had that
it's gonna like blow up or like termites or something. I don't know. Like if I have my violin with me, like I have it under control. So yeah, I don't know.
Get that insurance.
Insurance. Get the discount through ASTA. I'm not sure if they cover fires, but we'll figure it out. To our viewers, young viewers potentially out there, please don't leave your string instruments in the car overnight. Don't
do that.
I know some band people will because the brass instruments can withstand it. Strings cannot. So take that to heart. Take that with you wherever you go.
I also want to say, like house fires, it seems like such a foreign concept. Like it would never happen to me. Oh, it can happen to you very easily. House fires, I'm always trying to spread awareness on them. Like get your sockets looked at, get everything checked at. Yeah, you never know when it could happen to you. I never thought my house would burn down, and it was my garage that burned down my senior year of high school. But I can't imagine if my violin was in the house, it would have absorbed all the smell of the smoke, and it would have been ruined. Like I don't know.
It would have been toast.
Yeah, because my
toasty.
bedroom was right above the garage, so I had like chargers and stuff that didn't work anymore because the like outlets, like I don't know, the fuses or whatever. But yeah, if my violin was in the home, I don't know. And then Robert Johnson was talking about how he had a friend who played bass that he kept it in his basement or something, and there was a flood, and he said the basement turned into sewage or something, and he didn't have his bass insured. So these things you never think will happen to you until they do. So instrument insurance.
Keeping the viewers safe at home. Appreciate it.
And just do the small things like wipe off your instrument and check your bridge to make sure it's not leaning forward. The amount of instruments I've seen with leaning forward bridges, and like you would think the fingerboard came from the factory as white instead of black because people don't wipe off the rosin. Just do that. It
I'm
saves
definitely
time.
culprit to that. I need to get better at that.
It gets stuck on, and you'll have a real nice sound just trying to take that buildup of rosin off your fingerboard and strings.
Yeah.
Especially on the cello.
Yeah, that's loud. That resonates.
Yeah.
Speaking of loud, resonant, maybe unpleasant sounds, what are our rehearsal pet peeves?
When people don't have their fingerings written in or bowings, or you send out a part with notes in it and nobody even looks at the part.
For
Do
context,
better, guys.
For context, the viewers at home, like Aveline and Andrew work very hard to send out fingerings to the sections.
Yeah.
Which we don't need to do. I mean, I originally started doing that just as like, because I knew people were busy, and I feel like if I give them a head start, like it might at least help. Like usually people don't send out fingerings because that's something people figure out on their own. But I just took the courtesy of writing down stuff that like he's probably going to say in rehearsal that might help, and write it in big letters so people hopefully do it.
Yeah.
But
They don't.
yeah.
That's okay.
I mean, I have
That's not okay.
I have a lot of things that annoy me, like slouching or crossing your legs as a string player. I mean, I think it's crazy some of the posture I see.
I feel like
from
just
college students.
performance etiquette, just
Yeah.
period, as a college student.
People on their phones in rehearsal is crazy.
Oh,
Yes. I get real nervy when people get on their phones. I'm
Yeah.
like, guys, you're missing some valuable information right now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, if I played bass, I'm just
For me, kind of talking about rehearsal etiquette, when people like are plucking their
Yes.
strings
Oh my
while
God. Yeah.
and directors
Yeah.
talking, it's really characteristic of younger orchestras, but sometimes I see that in our orchestras, and it really hurts my heart, really disappoints me. 'Cause I think that's also kind of a respect thing. And even if like if the conductor, the director is referencing another section, it's really valuable to just even turn to that page they're talking about or listen, because it could be applicable to us. Something my band director would do in high school, shout out Bethany Van Oss, is that in jazz band, for example, should be working with the trumpets, on their mutes or their solos, whatever. And I play trombone in jazz band. I would just kind of figure along. Like, for those of us out there that are chronic pluckers while others are talking, you could just do it with your left hand, babes, not with your right hand.
Yeah. Something that a lot of professors have said here, at least when you're in rehearsal with them, is like you shouldn't be practicing your part while a rehearsal is going on, which is the plucking thing. You show up and play your part. You shouldn't have to practice it and annoy everyone else around you by practicing it. So just don't do that.
There's been a couple times I've looked behind me.
For me, it's just like not trying. I don't know. I feel like I'm someone where I try to only make the same mistake once. And I get we all make mistakes, but when somebody around me noticeably is making the same mistake over and over and over again, I know that it's not that they can't fix it. It's that they're just not even thinking about fixing it. They have no desire to even fix it. And in like the college world, I think that's just crazy to just not even, I don't know what the mindset would be alternatively to like not wanting to fix your mistakes. Maybe they're just playing an orchestra just to do it just because it's fun. I don't know, but for me, it's always just about self-improvement.
My other pet peeve is when people tell me they haven't looked at the music and it's the night before we have a rehearsal. And sometimes it'll be like a month, probably even less, maybe like 2 weeks, and I'll say the name of the piece and they'll be like, "What? What's that piece?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, no.
And it's been public knowledge that we're playing that piece for the last like 3 months.
Yeah.
Or say March of the previous year, all through the summer, and then September comes around and people don't know what piece we're playing.
Yeah.
It's also a pet peeve of mine to not have your measure numbers marked, especially if you're in a chamber ensemble or solo rep. Like, it's just so hard, especially if you have a pianist, like to find the same spot that you're talking about, because you might have different copies of the score and your part. And even in chamber ensembles, like, how are we going to know where we're going to start, So.
One more thing, something that kind of blows my mind in like collegiate ensembles, that I think even we had a guest conductor come in for conducting, and he was saying how professional orchestras sometimes don't do this, but watching the conductor, sometimes I'm kind of blown away that we don't all watch Dr. Scott, because I feel like he's just giving us the answer. Like he's giving us the answer for where we need to be. And sometimes I can feel not super confident with the music, but as long as I'm watching Dr. Scott, he's there for us.
Something I've talked with this about Dr. Scott before. It's not really a pet peeve, but it's not just with Dr. Scott, but a lot of conductors will do this, especially in high school and stuff, giving the same like request or critique over and over again. And I feel like I'm doing my part in fixing it. So I have no idea if I've fixed it or not, I guess. And that kind of goes into like my pet peeve of being people not trying. I think it was last semester, there was like this one spot in one of the pieces we were playing where Dr. Scott, like every single rehearsal would be like, first violins, do this, like every single rehearsal. And it got to a point where I was looking around and I was like, who is not doing this? And that will frequently happen. I'll be like, who was that comment towards? I think, or like there will be a part that like we're obviously supposed to play spiccato or something, and Dr. Scott will be like, don't play this legato. I'm like, who is playing it legato? Like, actually, I'm so curious sometimes, like, who was that comment directed towards? And sometimes I'm like, was I the one playing it legato? Like, I have no idea what I need to do versus like what the section as a whole needs to do. So when the conductor's like giving the same comment over and over again, it makes me just want to go up and ask them like, okay, what am I doing wrong? Like, what can I fix? Or was that comment for someone else? So I've actually emailed Scott a couple times about that issue, but yeah, just kind of like an insecurity thing as a player, I guess.
I feel that, like,
yeah.
I know I was talking about how Dr. Scott's really helped develop my confidence as like a cellist, but I would say I feel very like not very confident as a cellist, period. And sometimes when he brings up those comments, I'm like, am I showing him something that I've not prepared? Or like, am I showing him something that is not what I'm, you know what I mean? Sometimes that could be tense in rehearsal, but it's also a reminder of the things we need to focus on in our practicing. You know, like if he's talking about rhythm, okay, I need to make sure I'm always doing the metronome in my practicing. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of joy and wonder, inspiration, awe during this podcast. But the question I have is, what is our performance horror stories? Oh, not the groans.
I have a recent one that connects to the one that I talked about in one of our other podcast episodes where I broke an E string right before a performance and a recording day. Last month, we were playing Scheherazade at a local high school, and it's 4:59. We're going to do downbeat at 5 for rehearsal. For 7 o'clock concert, I'm practicing the Scheherazade solo. I'm on the last note of the solo before I'm going to stand up in tune, and my E string just breaks. So then I had to run backstage, and the high school director at Caledonia High School was watching me try and fix my, put a new E string on. And I had to put this adapter on because it was a different type of E string than what my violin took. And I dropped it inside my violin.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was watching me turn my violin upside down and try and shake it out and get it out from my violin. It's like this little piece, like that big.
Oh, no.
And I somehow got it out. And yeah, the performance went great. That was one of the best I've played, I think. But
yeah, no, we
scary.
did good on our solos.
That's
Dude, I looked over and I was like, I was like, what just happened?
Yeah, that same rehearsal too. Maybe like 15 minutes later.
Oh, yeah.
Well, during a section where we all put our mutes on, Avery, another player in our section, his bridge fell off.
Yeah.
It made that infamous sound that made the whole orchestra, that sound. So I can't remember what happened to me. I think one of my strings slipped really far down, and my bridge almost fell out of place, but it didn't fall off. So we had a curse in our section that day. But that was just like a rehearsal horror story, dude. That whole rehearsal was
when you hear
stressful.
a snap or a pop or anything falling to the floor during rehearsal, all eyes turn. It's scary.
A bridge falling off, like top 3 scariest sounds. Oh my gosh, nothing tops it. So scary.
what are the other two?
I don't know. I'm just thinking, is it top scariest sound then? Like, I can't think of a scarier sound to hear in a performance. Maybe just like an instrument dropping on the floor, like a violin on the floor.
one.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a double bass?
Oh.
That,
It sounds like a gunshot when those bridges fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like a domino effect, just hits the cello section.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I don't really have, well, I guess it is a horror story, for me at least, but my senior year of high school, I went to Salzburg, Vienna, and Prague for our orchestra trip. And we were playing a concert in each one of those cities. And I think this was the Salzburg performance. And we were in this little outdoor pavilion in this little lake town in Austria, and it was just so pretty and scenic. And let me just say, the bees in Europe, they're fat and fluffy, and they are in your face but I notoriously have the biggest fear of bees. I would say bees are my number one biggest fear, definitely because I got chased by a swarm of them twice as a kid. But oh my gosh, you don't even want to see me, you don't want to be around me if there's a bee anywhere nearby. I go hysteric. I can't even control my body. My legs just run. Whenever there's a bee nearby, I can't. There's no thinking. My legs just run. So we're playing, and I was second violin section leader, and we're playing, I don't know, whatever piece we were playing, and there's a bee. I just see it making its rounds through the orchestra, and it gets to me, and of course bees just have to love me, so it's flying around my face, and I was trying so hard not to freak out. It took everything in me to compose myself. And we're in a different country too, so I was just on foreign ground, and I think I jolted back. Sorry, I literally jolted back. I think I jolted back in my seat and hit the stand behind me. Nothing fell over, but I remember my high school conductor. She looked over at me and she was like in the middle of conducting, she was not shaking her head to stop whatever I was doing, because she didn't see that there was a bee. She just thought I was, I don't know, tweaking out for whatever reason, but no, there was a bee. And then after the performance, I started crying because it was so stressful. It was 20 minutes I had to endure of this bee just not stop bugging me. And I started crying afterwards, and I told her what had happened, and she apologized to me, and because there was a miscommunication, but that was just, that was the worst performance of my life. And there was all these like Austrian people just like watching me too. They were probably like, what's this crazy American girl doing? So yeah.
You were so brave for like staying on stage, continuing.
Yeah, I know. I didn't really have an option.
I've talked about my memory slips on the podcast before, and those have been terrible. But also, I think it was the day before a concert or 2 days before I was practicing. I literally walked into the practice room, put my bow on the string. I didn't even play anything. And it just went like my bow. It just, all the hair just popped off. I didn't even do anything. And it wasn't even the hair that came out. It like split at the tip, but in like no area where it should split. Like it was so weird. And so I had to use my backup bow, and I was so mad. I was like, oh my gosh, are you for real right now?
I know you started performing with a tablet. Have you had any technology mishaps?
I don't think I have yet.
I have.
I'm always paranoid. I'm always paranoid my foot pedal is gonna die. Mm-hmm. So I always charge it before a performance, or my tablet. I've been really bad about charging my tablet recently, and so I show up to a lesson and it's at like 20%, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope this stays through my lesson, my hour-long lesson, but it's fine.
I've had one foot pedal mishap, and it was actually during your recital.
Wait, do I know about this?
I don't know. So for one of Aveline's recitals last year, we played like string quartet plus harpsichord and her soloing on Vivaldi Winter from the Four Seasons. And we're in the first movement. It's the first time I was going to go and use my pedal. When I got up there, we get to the end of the first page, and I push the pedal, and nothing happens. So I'm waiting for the page to turn, and nothing happens. So I press it again, and nothing happens. So then I'm playing from memory for probably like 30 seconds or so. And then all of a sudden, 30 seconds later, it just flips like 3 pages in the music. So now we're in the third movement, and I'm playing the first movement. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I don't know what happened, but my pedal decided to stop working and then start working again, and it registered the 3-foot clicks. So,
ooh, yeah. Did it screw you up? I didn't notice.
I don't think so. I'm lucky I had it memorized for the most part.
Yeah.
But
That's pro level.
Oof.
This is why we use paper, as the great Pablo Mojave.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Yeah. Yeah.
So I am a Google Calendar connoisseur. I live my life with Google Calendars, to-do lists, and alarms. And I have like alarms to remind me, like, Maria, go get ready for bed. Go do this. In sophomore year of college it was the first time I ever had an iPhone. I used to be an Android user. And I was like, oh, cool. Like iPhones have this little like silence your phone function. And we had a performance. It's like, oh, I'm solid. Just got to like flip that switch. And sophomore year, Dr. Scott programmed Borodine 2. And the cello was like, we'll unpack our stuff backstage. So I had my bag, and my phone was back there, and my cello case. And we're on stage. I think it's like movement 1 or 2. And it's during the quietest part of the movement. And I hear like an alarm sound go off. And it's going off for a while. And I'm like, oh, like someone in the audience must have not silenced their phone. And it keeps going off for like a good while. And then my heart sank. My soul collapsed. I wanted to run and get up stage because that was my alarm. My alarm on my phone was going on during the quietest part of the concert for like 10, 15 minutes. And I sat there being like, well, I can't get up because people like, it'll be so distracting. And I was just like praying, hoping, manifesting that somehow it's going to be turned off. And I had an alarm set, but I thought, oh, because I switched the ringer off, like it'll just be silent. And shout out to Maria Petrero and Diami Campos. Those are percussionists that were on stage at that time. And one of them got up and turned off my alarm backstage. And they came up to me after the concert and they're like, was it you? I was like, yes, don't tell anyone. So I didn't tell a soul until I told a really good friend that night, and the percussionist knew, and they kept my secret good. I didn't tell a soul for months. I was having bad dreams about it. I was having bad dreams that Dr. Scott was going to go on the podium, be like, okay, whose alarm was it? We're not going to continue playing until we know whose alarm that was. And I was ashamed. And like people were making jokes about it after the concert, saying, oh, whose alarm was that? That was kind of crazy. Like, whose alarm? And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, just kind of packing up. Like, oh, yeah, I don't know. Beats me. And last semester, I had the courage to tell some of our ASTA friends after a concert at Culver's, but I've yet to tell Dr. Scott. So whenever this episode comes up and goes global, Dr. Scott, I gravely apologize. And now for every performance I'm at, whether I'm listening or performing, the phone is completely powered off.
The phone's just like...
The phone is completely powered off.
Like, the phone's not in the building. The phone's just
no.
extra precaution.
And sometimes I get really scared during like rehearsal or during performances. I think to myself, did I power it off? Did I power it off? Yeah. I think all of you were there during that performance.
Yep.
Yeah.
Makes you feel better. I kind of forgot about it like after, I don't know, 5 months.
Yeah.
All right, so as we're wrapping up this episode, we have one final question to ask, and that is, what's one piece of advice you would give incoming music students that are entering for the first time to go to college?
Have fun, but prioritize your sleep. Figure out your body and your routines. It took me a while too, but eat food. The amount of people who think that they can get by without eating is crazy to me. So get groceries, go to Ollie or wherever, eat food. Food is very important. Get sleep and go practice. I don't really know what else.
Period.
Especially if you're a music ed student coming in, just getting any experience you can on another instrument, especially like piano, or just at your school, if you can be part of several ensembles or just take some lessons. I think that'll really help, especially in the methods classes. I know it really helped me in brass tech that I played trombone in high school. I think also with just learning what it means to breathe. But definitely trying to get other different experiences outside of your primary instrument.
I'd say a big thing is just talking to the people that you're in classes with and get to know them, because especially in music, I know all of us have probably had 12 classes together at this point, something crazy. Mm-hmm. We're all in classes together because music is inherently a small community. So the more you get to know the people that you're doing your classes with, the more fun it's going to be, and the more people you can ask for help. And if you're planning things like a recital or some type of event, knowing people really helps. Like say you need a pianist for a recital and you have piano friends, that always helps. Or we just got asked about having a jazz combo at a recital next semester for someone who needs a jazz ensemble, which they wouldn't have felt comfortable enough asking for if we didn't all know each other and we weren't all friendly. So be friendly with the people that you're in classes with and get to know them. And it really helps. A lot of people also don't understand like music unless they're musicians. So having people that you know that also get it, that you can talk to and go through it with, also really helps.
I also remember my first semester as a music ed major, none of us talked to each other, which was so weird. So none of us were really friends until the next year after, I guess. So I would go to classes and be in orchestra with all you guys, and we weren't friends. I didn't have your phone number or anything. I would maybe talk to you occasionally. Andrew, I may have known Andrew the best, and that was it. And I barely knew Andrew at all. And then the next semester we came back, I hosted a bonfire. So have get-togethers, plan stuff, do stuff with people in your studio and your ensembles and your classes, join group chats and stuff. So yeah, I think that bonfire really helped us all kind of get to know each other and break the ice. And then we literally couldn't stop hanging out after that.
Yeah.
So yeah, get to know your people.
Yeah, that's great. I would say take full advantage of these next 4 years, because that is going to set you up for your future. And if you take everything seriously in those 4 years of undergrad, you're going to prepare yourself really well for the real world. And that includes going and doing sectionals, making those connections, doing as much as you can at a healthy level, but doing as much as you can to get your name out there and to get experience doing things out in the world. I think that's really important. And I mean, that's why I started this podcast, trying to get out there. That's why many of us are doing outreach activities, whether that's with St. Cecilia or West Michigan Symphony or, giving sectionals at local schools. And I think it's really important. And when you show up to rehearsals, show up prepared and that you are the best person in the room. I think that's something I've really learned from being on this podcast, is that's what a lot of people in the professional world now wish they would have taken advantage of, is show up like you are the person that knows, like show up the most prepared and be that person and be that leader in your ensemble and in your group. And it's going to help you in the future too. If you are going to go the performance route, preparing yourself for what it's going to be like in an orchestra, you know, having limited time to get music together and things like that. So really just take full advantage of the next 4 years. And so, yeah, that's what I would say. And with that, that's pretty much going to wrap up today's episode. I want to thank Andrew, Maria, and Jossie for joining me and sharing your insights. It was really a pleasure to have you on today. And I'm really excited to see how our chapter grows throughout the next year. So it's going to be a good time. If you're someone you know would like to be featured on 2D Talks, feel free to DM us on Instagram at 2D Talks Podcast or email us at 2dtalkspodcast@gmail.com. Be sure to follow us on all our socials to stay up to date on all things music, from guest highlights and upcoming episodes to behind-the-scenes content and performance clips. We're passionate about reaching as many musicians as we can, and you can help us do that. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a fellow musician, colleague, or friend, whether it's someone in your ensemble, your studio, or someone who would appreciate these conversations. Every share helps grow our community. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of 2D Talks. Keep the music playing, keep the conversation going, and we will see you in the next one.